Greetings. You have me, Michaela B. Harding. And the name of this video is going to be COVID 19 challenges in healthcare. Number one, COVID started for me on March the 17th, which was actually St. Patrick's Day. That was the day that they shut everything down. And I was currently working at a facility. I was working at the time. And I got fired from my job. And then I went and I got another job because I am a nurse assistant. And so this was at the beginning of COVID when everything was crazy. So because they had shut everything down and wouldn't let nobody in, they was not taking patients from the hospital. So the other job that I had got after I got fired from my other job, um, the census was low. I wasn't getting 40 hours. And I was working 20 something miles from where I live. So it wasn't really worth it. In my pay, I took a cut in pay. And so I was out of work. So I went and I landed another job quite naturally. And what happened on that job is they tested all the healthcare workers. But if you have a runny nose, if you have a cold, if you're sick and you're a healthcare worker, they will not allow you to work. If your body temperature is not right, if you temp higher than 99 point whatever it is, you cannot work. You are sent home without pay. I was sent home 10 times for my temperature being high and I did not have COVID. So I went home without pay, which caused me, for right now, I went home so many times that they told me not to come back until I was well. So it really affected my job with this COVID stuff. And so we're at wills, nursing home jobs are at will anyway. So it's at their discretion whether or not they wanted to let me come back, and they chose not to. So I've been unemployed. So I haven't worked all month. And I went to the unemployment office. They said they couldn't hire me because, not that they couldn't hire me, but they couldn't help me because I had something on my record and they had to remove it, which they had never removed it and called me back. So that didn't work out. That was a 2-day process. 2 days of my time spent process. And I have been on this whole transition trying to find employment. I have been on 4 interviews. I have taken 4 COVID tests, and none of them have come back. I took a COVID test on July the 2nd that just came back a couple of days ago. And so now I'm getting ready to start at my other job tomorrow after being here for almost a month. So my rent is behind, my light bill is behind, and I have never, in any time of getting fired in the whole 25 years that I've worked in healthcare, I have never in my life been this far behind. When I got fired and I got another job, and because, I wasn't getting 40 hours a week and they cut my hours, then I had to get the money from somehow. So I borrowed from my courtesy pay, and I overdraw my checking account, and I was not able to replace the money, so they closed my checking account down. And so I may not have gotten COVID. Every test that I've taken have come back negative. But as a healthcare worker, I have been affected indirectly with COVID. I went to community action to try to get help, and they didn't want to help me. They said I didn't qualify for COVID because, in their opinion, I make enough money to pay my rent. But yes, I do, but I can't go to work until I get my COVID test back. That's the holdup. Until I get these COVID tests back, they're not allowing me inside facilities to work. This is not a quick process. And so, I mean, it's just really just no kind of help or no kind of support for the healthcare workers. We're putting our life on the line. We're front line. And then, I mean, sometimes in the facility, they act like ain't nothing going on. It's being harder to land another job, possibly quickly than what we would normally land a job. But in the meantime, I'm just praying that my apartments complex that I live in will understand, and that they will make some payment arrangements with me on my rent, because I am behind, because I have been affected by everything that goes on with COVID. Um, if my temperature is high, I can't argue with them. You know, they cannot let me work. If I am feeling sick, I can't argue with them. They cannot let me work. I have to go home. And unfortunately, I go home with pay. There are healthcare workers that have actually caught COVID, and they have been quarantined at home for 14 days. You know what I mean? So they can't work for 14 days. So what are we supposed to do? I mean, what are we supposed to do? So I just think this COVID-19 shit in the healthcare field is a bunch of bullshit. They act like it's not anything, no other illness out here. And then another thing, they have us wearing is face masks, these plastic gowns, and all of that has contributed to me having a high body temperature, which was making me temp out, and they were sending me home. So I just say this is a bunch of bullshit. Bottom line, if you are a CNA right now in the healthcare field, my suggestion is to you, if you're working in a facility and y'all have no COVID-19 infected people, even if it is that you're just working short, you need to stay there. You need to stay there and deal with whatever it is working short, because it is 9 times harder to go somewhere else. And when you go somewhere else, it's the same ball game. They're short. This process for people to get employed, you have to pass a COVID test. Every new facility that you go to is part of the job. Part of the hiring process is the COVID, and they're backed up and they're taking too long to get these tests back. So this has just been a bunch of bullshit. Literally a bunch of backwards ass politics and bullshit. And if we are going to get the stimulus money again, we need it. And it needs to be more than the $1,200. That's all I had to say.